Martin from Gun Basics Philippines, and welcome to part two of our introduction to gun scores. So, what are we doing right now in part two? We're going to be talking about gun safety. Now, before I move forward talking about the topic of gun safety, what I believe in and how we do things in Gun Basics Philippines is if you have any questions about any part, I welcome you to ask. You know, in person, you could have just raised your hand here over a live video. So we're live right now. We're streaming, no edits. You can just comment if you're watching the live. If you're watching the replay, this video at the convenience of your home, safety of your home, or your own device, wherever you are, you can just comment down below in the chat if you have any questions. I truly believe that one of the principles I follow in Gun Basics Philippines is understanding over fear. And if you're concerned, like you keep asking questions, don't worry. I was one of those students in school where the teachers got so annoyed because I kept raising my hand. So you're not alone. So it's better that way. So moving forward, gun safety. This is the first lesson, and probably it's the one I wish I learned, like the very first lesson. And it's also the lesson that I probably will take with me to the grave, like the last lesson I will keep. So why is gun safety important? To keep it real simple, it just teaches you how to not kill yourself. And it also teaches you how to not accidentally shoot someone else. So I use quote marks on accidentally because once you learn this, there are no accidents. It's gonna be negligence. So what do we do? So very simple. There are four rules of gun safety that I learned, and I did not invent this. This was made by Colonel Jeff Cooper, like one of the founding fathers of the IPSC, the International Practical Shooting Confederation, back in 1976. So, what's the relevance of this? In modern shooting ranges nowadays, you will see this, the four rules of gun safety, either on a wall, on a sign, in any accredited shooting range. So, it will look very similar or sometimes even identical, like word for word. So let's go through it one by one. Just keep this real simple. Gun safety. Number one. So, rule number one in gun safety. Here we go. Can anyone take a guess? You can type it in the comments if ever. Boom. All guns are always loaded. So, another way some people might see this or write this down is treat every gun as if it was loaded. Now, why do I like this the way it's written here? All guns are always loaded. It's very simple. Someone might ask, Martin, what if it's a pellet gun? In my mind, it's loaded. It could be a real gun, right? Um, what if somebody unloaded it? Do you just trust them? In my mind, it's loaded. And I'll show you in part three. So, uh, how to operate a gun. So you'll learn tips on how to load, unload a gun, and even safety check it very quickly. So all guns are always loaded. Why? Why is that mindset number one very helpful? We can't take back the bullet. If it was not loaded, your friend, who said it wasn't loaded is right, all well and good. But if your friend, your family member, whoever said the gun was unloaded, but it was loaded, and it goes off, it shoots, can't take it back. So that's why rule number one is all guns are always loaded. Treat every gun like it's loaded. Rule number two, if you already know, you can write it in the chat. Number two, this is a little longer. Never point the gun at anyone or anything you do not intend to destroy. So I love the way this is also written. because it doesn't just say don't point the gun at what you're not willing to shoot. It actually says the consequence. So someone says, "Hey, I'm pointing the gun, but it's not at a person, so no one's gonna die." But let's say the gun is pointed at your girlfriend's Louis Vuitton bag. Well, are you willing to destroy that? Are you willing to pay $500,000 for her Birkin, her Hermes? Or maybe it's a guy, a friend, but you shoot his Rolex accidentally because the gun was pointed there. So do not point the gun at anyone or anything that you do not intend to destroy. One thing that helped me a lot with this was when you handle a gun, imagine it's like you're holding a lightsaber. Or someone taught me this tip. It's like imagine there's a laser beam coming out of the barrel, the muzzle of the gun, meaning wherever it's pointed at. So wherever that laser beam touches, it slices, it destroys. So that one helped me understand this rule or apply it better. Number three, what is the third rule of gun safety? Ooh. Number three, keep your finger off the trigger until you are ready to shoot. So I love this one. Why? It's to be fair, it's very natural for a person to put their finger on the trigger because the gun is meant to be shot. If you enter a car, it's natural for a person to put his foot on the gas pedal, right? Because it's meant to be driven. So, number three is keep your finger off the trigger until you are ready to shoot. Why? Most accidents usually happen when a person is handling a gun, when their finger enters the trigger. And what if somebody accidentally tickles you? You shoot that gun, or maybe we weren't thinking right, we were tired, we were sleepy, it slipped our mind, slipped the finger, and then the gun shoots. So, in most instances where you hear of a story, a news report, wherein somebody shot themselves or the gun accidentally shot, 99% of the time, the person's finger was on the trigger. So, unless it was a totally mechanical failure, meaning the gun malfunctioned, maybe somebody put the gun in the microwave, right? Some weird thing like that, 99% of the time, it's because someone was holding the gun and their finger was on that trigger. So, to be safe, so that doesn't happen, keep your finger away from the trigger until you are ready to shoot. If you are ready to shoot, someone says, "Oh, self defense, I'm going to save my life," then by all means, put that finger on the trigger. Last, number four, keep this real simple. Rule number four, be sure of your target. So I like how simple and short this is. Some people will say, um, be sure of your target uh, and what is behind it. They'll also say, be sure of your target and what is around it. So I also love that one because when someone says, be sure of your target, before I react, pull that trigger, I see a shadow, a silhouette. There's true story. There was a father who shot his own son at around midnight, or at that very like 2 a.m. super odd hour, because his son climbed in the back of the house and was trying to break in to get back in the house, and he thought it was a burglar or something like that. So be sure of your target. This is why in training we also use flashlights. Identify the target first. If you're in a shooting range, let's keep things basic. Sometimes something, if you're shooting at a paper target, something or someone might be behind that target. This is very common in outdoor ranges here in the Philippines. People might say, "Oh, safety, of course, no one will ever be behind that cardboard paper target. Of course, of course. Well, welcome to the motherfucking Philippines. Sorry, guys. This is just, I'm sharing from experience in an outdoor range, whether here in Muntinlupa, maybe you're in the province, like in Laguna, Cavite, Batangas. It's very common that people might walk behind the kids picking up the lead because they sell them. Uh, whatever they're doing over there. Now, if you're in an indoor range, much more orderly, usually like in an in a facility. So again, much more orderly. You don't have to worry too much about that. But be sure if your target. Also, the backstop. Sometimes the bullets could ricochet, and what is around it, because the ricochet could go left or right, not just back at you, right? So to end this gun safety part for introduction to guns won't be complete without a demo. So let's make it a little more fun, right? So I'll demonstrate these 4 rules of gun safety so we get the lesson better. How do we do that? Let's do it with a gun. So as I do this, as I handle this, remembering the 4 rules of gun safety. So I'm going to set this aside. Rule number 1, all guns are always loaded. So I will teach this in the next part, in part 3, which is how a gun works. So don't worry, I'll go through it with you guys. So when I pick up the gun, all guns are always loaded. So I'm going to treat this gun like it is loaded. So there is a way, but I will check it. It's been a while since I've handled a gun, guys. So this is for you. This is my gift, my contribution back to you guys, just giving back. So I treat the gun like it is loaded. It's always loaded. What if I set it down, Martin? I still treat the gun as if it was loaded. Rule number 2, never point the gun at anyone or anything you do not intend to destroy. So again, when I pick up the gun, it's just me out of habit. I'm checking if it's safe. When I pick up the gun, I'm not pointing this gun at my face, at any of my body parts. This might look scary to you guys. Don't worry, this is a camera. But imagine if I start doing that, some of you are reacting already. Because do not point the gun at anything you do not intend to destroy or shoot, right? So, for example, if someone was in front of me, what I would do is, whoop, there we go, right? I want to shoot you. So it's like a lightsaber, laser beam coming out. Keep it safe. Rule number 3, demo. Keep your finger off the trigger until you are ready to shoot. So how does that look like? When I pick up the gun again from 1 to 3, I'm going through it, treating the gun like it's loaded. I do a safety check. I'm pointing the gun in a safe direction, making sure. Here's the main one now. My finger is looking like this, away from the trigger. Some people put it on the side. I put it up here, resting on the gun's frame. Some people, when they pick up the gun, natural reaction is this. So I'm gonna do a quick safety check again. Why? Why is this dangerous or not safe? Let's say a loud sound happens, lightning strikes. Oh my God, boom. I just shot the gun, right? Anything can happen, right? Something might slip. So to avoid that, I'm gonna check the gun again, safe. When I pick up the gun, somebody hands me the gun. My finger is away from that trigger. So even though somebody punches me in the gut, somebody picks me up, power bombs me, throws me, when I squeeze and grip the gun, this finger is not going inside the trigger area. So I just squeeze against the frame of the gun. The gun won't shoot. This is a Glock 9mm pistol, Glock 17, Gen 3, so it has three safeties. This gun will not shoot unless that trigger is pulled back. It has a trigger safety, it has a firing pin safety and a drop safety. So even if this is loaded and you throw it off a helicopter, and there's a video of that, it still won't fire. So it's a safe gun. Just keep that finger off the trigger until you are ready to shoot. Last, rule number 4, be sure of your target. So be sure of your target, what is behind it, and what is around it. So once you are sure, I'm firing at this target, paper target, whatever it is, nothing behind it because the bullet goes through paper or whatever material that is. I'm not shooting at something metallic, wherein if I shoot it, it could ricochet right back at me. Just keeping in mind of that. Or it could ricochet left or right or wherever. So be sure of your target, what is behind it, what is around it. Those are the 4 rules of gun safety. So part 3, we're going to look at how does a gun work. So see you on the next one.